Hello again. By special request, I'm doing an episode on a commonly held fan theory of my usual stuff today, namely the idea that Crow is RWBY's secret bio-dad. I confess, I don't think I've ever seen much compelling evidence in favour of this idea, so I usually just ignore it, but I did make a promise. Rather than try to call anybody out or risk coming off as rude, I'm mostly just going to be listing counter-evidence. So let's go. Monty as well as the writing team have gone on the record saying Yang and RWBY are half-sisters. While sometimes showrunners do lie to cover up spoilers, I don't recall RT ever directly lying about stuff like this. I've seen it suggested that RWBY resembles Crow, but given she's a borderline palette swap of Summer, I just can't see it. I would note as well that there's nothing hinting that Summer or Crow had romantic or physical attraction towards one another. Additionally, given RWBY was always living with Ty and Summer and neither she nor Yang are hinted to have suspected anything was unusual, well, that leaves a rather small window for RWBY's conception without there being cheating or something else involved. There's of course the classic Polly Sturk theory, but usually that involves Raven, as she did canonically at least date Ty, while as noted there's no signal Crow viewed Summer as anything more than a friend or vice versa. This feels rather integral because if it were true, there's been several instances where Crow either would have told RWBY or would have clearly considered trying to and stopped himself, but he hasn't. There's been no foreshadowing. The song Bad Luck Charm is not sung or written as being addressed to RWBY, so the song lyrics, "You and I are not the same, you don't want the burden of my name," don't relate to parenthood. The fact that RWBY and Crow share aesthetic traits is in my eyes meant to be reflective of his mentorship of her, which only became a thing due to RWBY's struggle with traditional combat styles. Given Jawn incorporated aspects of Pyrrha's aesthetic and uniform into his own wardrobe, as well as other shared or mixed aesthetics, this mostly seems to be a remnant thing to signal importance, but not any specific relationship. Beyond all of that, I would note that the Rose Xiaolong household has already had a "you thought X was your parent but it was actually Y" revelation in Yang's backstory. Not only did this, along with Ty's decaying mental state and Crow's absence, almost lead to Yang and RWBY's deaths, but it also led to a lot of pain and drama in general. And while the older generation hasn't been especially good at learning from their mistakes, I still don't see them repeating the exact same process on RWBY. But even if they would make that mistake again, why would RT repeat an already used plot point on the same family? Adding to the narrative argument, given RWBY's close relationship with Crow and her father and generally unbothered attitude about social norms, what exactly would this revelation actually accomplish? She's already been lied to about way bigger stuff than this. She actually has a good and functional relationship with both the adult figures, and there wouldn't be much in the way of mystery to uncover like with Yang. So what would the purpose be in terms of actually serving the story? None as far as I can see, and say what you will about RWBY, they aren't in the business of wasting time. That's all for today, but if you'd like to support my work or request an episode, please feel free to hit up my Patreon or Ko-fi to help sustain my works, and also gain access to stories, scripts, and 3D art. Thanks for tuning in!